Is it still there? Yeah, yep. I think this is clear. Okay, you cannot see the. Yeah, now you can see the class, right?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, okay. And is it recording? And record screen. Right. Okay. So Pratik, you can share your screen whenever you want to.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Naresh. Hi, everyone. Very good morning to all of you from Tasmania, down south. Happy to share with you and thank you for your time today to allow me to share my experience. When Naresh asked me to share about this, I was quite happy to share because I do feel a sense of achievement. So I'll just share with you my journey over the last maybe 5, 6 weeks or so. So let me share my slides. Hopefully you can you all see my slides? All right, great. So I'm Pratik, as Naresh has already introduced me. And today I'll be sharing with you my journey for building apps using AI. It's not really a technical masterclass, and I won't be going into any technical details as much. It's more about sharing the story of my journey, about the curiosity, and also in the process about ego getting bruised, and how eventually AI became my coding partner. So, if you're expecting hardcore algorithms or technical details, you'll be disappointed. But if you're curious about how normal humans can build serious apps using AI and the basic journey of it, you're in the right room. So I'll proceed along at any point. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand and I'll try to answer. Uh, okay, this just a quick aside. This is me and Naresh 30 plus years ago, I guess, in a dorm in university. So we go back a long way. And yeah, this is another life. We looked much younger and thinner during that. Uh, this this is probably a more formal intro to myself. I'm a software engineer, graduated in 1999, and I spent around 24 plus years in financial technology, working for one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds in Singapore. So during the time, I played the roles of developer, which was probably around first 5, 6 years when I actually did coding. But after that, I moved into project management, program manager, and managing technology portfolio. So for the last 15, 20 years, I haven't actually done hands-on programming. I traded that for office politics and management headaches. But yeah, don't regret it. It was fun. I'm now retired, and because I wanted to spend a bit more time with family. Ironically, that was the decision that brought me back to coding. So life does really have a small, strange sense of humor. Below, you have two of my apps that I have recently rolled out using Claude AI as my partner to implement the app. So I'll be sharing a bit more about that. So how it all started? Actually, I was talking to my daughter, and she's working in school project. She's in year 11, and she was reading some research papers. And in the process, she was frustrated. It's not easy to understand all those papers, and she shared with me that it would be so much easier if she could just talk to the authors instead of trying to read and interpret the paper. That sentence stuck with me. I definitely couldn't get all the authors to talk to her, but perhaps maybe AI could help simulate that interaction. So that's how the project was born. Sometimes, startups begin with venture capital and big meetings. Mine just began at a dinner table. So maybe a bit more about the idea or the problem. Students today, you search a lot, download and read PDFs from different journals, highlight manually, copy citations, compare arguments across various tabs. So this whole process is quite static. You scroll, you skim, you get confused, you reread. So what if research was interactive? What if you could just ask a research paper you're reading, what's your main argument, or compare with another paper, or give me an exact citation for that claim? So that That's basically the idea. Now, you might just ask, why not use ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini? They are powerful, and they should be able to do some of this stuff. And you would be right to an extent. But these are more general purpose tools, and they can pull information beyond your paper. In worst case scenarios, they may hallucinate and tell you something that is not actually true. They don't really enforce the academic discipline. They also may not be able to manage structured citations cleanly. So I wanted a more controlled academic environment where AI is always working as a world class research assistant. So it's AI but constrained, and it's smart but it's grounded in the document. So that's the problem that I set out to solve. And here's the awkward part. As I shared, I hadn't coded seriously in maybe 15, maybe 20 years. So mostly I traded it for managing budgets, managing people, managing politics. Not the best, but yeah, that's something that I've been doing last 15, 20 years. So yes, I was nervous. When I thought about doing this, felt like, imposter syndrome. Maybe if you feel like that sometimes, you're normal. Okay, so before writing even a single line of code, right, there were a lot of things I had to decide. And this slide can look quite overwhelming for people who don't have technical background or who haven't done a lot of programming. So just in quick summary, what's your development environment? What would be the tools you'll use for front end, which is the user experience, or back end, where you store your data, authentication, how you ensure the person who's logging in is the person who is claiming to be, and so on and so forth. But if you don't understand these, not an issue. Neither did I when I started. The good thing is AI helps you understand these. Asks you can ask questions. It guides you along. So this is something that is quite helpful. Uh, the way AI is helping us today. So in a way, I treated AI like a board of advisors. I asked ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. I used all three of them. Why three? Why not just one? Well, my career in finance had taught me that you never rely on just one source of truth. Always consult more than one source. So I compared recommendations, looked for convergence, and sometimes these three tools would give me different answers. So I actually tried to dig in a bit more, and that's how I finalized my tech stack. It helped me understand all those technology platforms that I was mentioning earlier, and it helped me understand. It didn't decide for me, it helped me think. Here's what I chose. Now, I wouldn't go through this. These are the technical platforms that I chose. You may, if you decide to build yourself, you may choose slightly different platforms, and that's perfectly fine. These are just tools that you use, and a platform like Claude, AI platform like Claude is a perfect companion to help you decide which tools to choose and how you can go about it. At this point, I mean, based on all the reading up, I felt I was quite confident, maybe 6 out of 10, but in actual fact, my knowledge was quite low. It's classic overconfidence curve, and that resulted in quite a few mistakes that I will share with you later. But first, I resisted just playing around. Instead of just diving in and trying to code using AI, I did spend some time, maybe at least around 2 weeks, going through quite a few YouTube videos. There are many good YouTube videos and resources of people sharing how to use AI to develop. So it's good to go through that. I also went through some videos that were about iOS and Android deployment, right? So it's deployment workflows, publishing on App Store, and also simply learning how Cloud Code works, how to use it effectively. Structured exploration saves a lot of time. If you randomly do some hacking, it actually wastes time. Uh, this applies to everything, even exams and everything. So this did help me quite a bit in getting up to speed before I started to get my hands dirty, so to speak. Uh, Before actually building the app side, I built a dummy app. It was a simple app. It looked at an image and it tried to identify if the photo was of an animal, plant, or human being. This was crucial. It was not really the app I wanted to make, but it allowed me, building this app allowed me to understand how the end to end flow works. You can watch a ton of YouTube videos, a ton of tutorials, but unless and until you sit down and do things yourself, you wouldn't actually get the handle of things. So allow me to implement things, break while implementing, make bad decisions, how to debug applications and infrastructure. So basically, this was the best decision I made. My suggestion to you is, if you want to get into this, always build a small pilot before you go and solve your real problem. In addition to that, building the pilot also helped me understand how the technology of today works. I had been brought up in programming in early 2000s, and basically the way we used to do programming then and the way implementation is done now is completely different. It's now everything is on the cloud. You use APIs to connect to services that others provide. You don't even need servers in many cases, and so on and so forth. So Claude helped me bridge that generation gap. I wasn't just coding, I was in a way rewriting my mental model, my understanding of how things work today. Well, coming into setbacks while I was implementing the pilot app, a lot of setbacks, right? Some to share with you here. When I implemented the app, it worked fine on Simulator. Simulator is something that you can use on your Mac or on your PC to test your app on a program that simulates your phone. So my app worked fine on the simulator, but when I tried to run it on my phone, it just didn't work. So these are some basic problems, and the reason was, when you are running it on your phone, you need to give the IP, or which is a unique address of your PC or Mac, so that it can connect to it. Few other problems, when you connect to an AI like ChatGPT or Claude via your program, you need to use what is called an API key. Basically, it's a secret key that you generate from Claude or ChatGPT, and you put it in your program so that it can connect to the AI engine and pass it the question and get the answer. This API key is supposed to be a secret. Now, in my naivety, I uploaded the key to the source code platform GitHub, and the moment it became public, as a safety precaution, the AI providers just disabled the keys. So all the AI calls died instantly. I had to reissue the keys and became much more careful in how they are saved. Another problem, I was setting up the infrastructure, and I had set up my database in United States. Now, in today's world, the cloud providers give you amazing capabilities. I have just a Mac notebook with me, but I could set up a database anywhere in the world and run it. And in my lack of knowledge, I set it up in the default option, which was in United States. And I forgot I live in Australia. So every time I was running my app, every click, it went halfway around the world and back. So it was quite slow. Even though each individual call is like milliseconds, but it adds up. So the app was slow. When I realized that, or when AI helped me realize that, I set up another one in Asia Pac, and the problem just went away. Last one in this slide, I'll talk more about it in the next. So the idea here is, these are all problems that you face, and these are problems that would have taken probably days or weeks to resolve. But with the help of AI, I was able to resolve faster. How? I can just cut and paste the error messages onto the AI, and I can share my program, and it will investigate and it will suggest the likely causes, and you can then try to go and fix it. It's much faster than you doing the pre-AI way, which is just trying to investigate or uh, troubleshoot by yourself. Uh, okay, yeah, talking about the email, well, it was a humbling moment. So I'm sure you guys have used many apps or websites. And in these apps or websites, you have to create an account and you provide an email, and it then sends you a email with a link where you can click on confirm, and that's when your account is authenticated. Now, in order to send that email, you need to use something called the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol service, or SMTP service. AI helped me to identify possible service providers, and I chose Amazon SMTP. Now, in my old life, I was working for a big sovereign wealth fund in a senior management position. People like AWS were falling over each other to get me to use their services. Frankly, I couldn't push them away enough. But now I'm one individual developer, private life. So when I applied, I was rejected. AWS didn't even give me a reason. They probably didn't want to bother with a small fry. So AI, that was quite humbling. So AI then helped me look for alternatives. Eventually, I chose Mailtrap. That is more developer friendly. So startup life, very different from corporate life, very different. Uh, the pilot took another about 2 weeks or so to implement. And to be very honest with you, if I did it on my own without AI assistance, maybe 2-3 months, maybe even more. But AI didn't remove the effort. It removed the friction. And that's the key distinction. It removed the delays. It helped me move fast. So now after the pilot, I was confident. And that means that I was about to make mistakes because maybe I was overconfident. But before I go into the app journey further, maybe I'll give you a quick demo of what the app is, so at least you understand how it works. Okay, so this is site. You can create folders and upload papers to organize them. So if you're working on any topic, let's say artificial intelligence, you can create a folder and upload papers as I'm doing here. Once you upload a paper, it is processed by the AI engine. What it means is it sends the document to the AI engine, which is ChatGPT or OpenAI in this case. And that engine then extracts meaning and inferences from the paper, and it stores that. Once the paper is in AI ready state, you can go into the chat screen, and then you can connect with either a paper or a folder itself. So all the papers in that folder. And then you can ask questions as though you're asking questions to the author. So AI will understand your question and it will give you the answer, like say summary or key takeaways. It will quickly generate that for you. Other capabilities do surprise me. In fact, one of my users, they asked for the responses in Chinese for a paper that was in English. And the AI gave equally good responses in Chinese, translating whatever it read on the paper. You can ask for detailed answers, and then it will go into more meaning of the paper. And that's the settings screen. So that's a very quick demo of the app. Moving on. Naming the app. This sounds quite simple, but it can be quite an interesting discussion. So I was discussing with my family, my daughters. We came up with quite a few names. AI also suggested names, and then had to make an executive decision. It's not a democracy. I chose Site as a name for citations plus insight or site. Names matter. It gives direction. Key part of building an app is understanding and writing the requirements. I didn't write requirements manually. I used ChatGPT to refine my thoughts. And in fact, it structured product requirements much better than some analysts that I have worked with in the past. And then I refined those requirements into prompts for Claude. Once you put in those prompts, then Claude will generate the necessary programs, and it does the actual structuring and coding for you. So my workflow for building the app was quite straightforward. I used ChatGPT to write and refine requirements. Then I used Claude to use those requirements to generate the code, and I had to review the code carefully. Where I didn't understand codes that it generated, I could just ask it to explain, and it will explain in as simple terms as possible. So it was really very helpful in that. And then test, and then refactor, meaning just make it a bit more efficient, and then repeat, right? So the important lesson here is AI is not autopilot. Think of it as a very fast junior developer. You still need your own judgment to implement the program. This is a one-page cheat sheet of how you can use Claude Code effectively. This is from my experience. Just a few key points. You need to be specific. Don't just say make a login page. Say create a login screen using Supabase database and navigate on success to the next screen. So that will help the AI understand your requirement better. Always restate the context, in which context you're asking, and build in small chunks. It's quite attractive to say, oh, give you the full requirements and AI go and build the whole app. But that can give you quite a bit of headache because it wouldn't probably build exactly what you need. And potentially AI can go crazy at times. It goes and it gets stuck in a never-ending investigation loop if it is not able to understand your instructions clearly. So treat Claude like a contractor you're hiring for maybe renovating your home. The more clear instructions you can give it, the better quality it will give you. Okay, I wouldn't run through this in more detail. This is just the architecture for my app. For your app, it would look quite different. Again, the key thing to reiterate is it looks very complex, but if you put in the effort and perseverance, it is actually most of the implementation is done by Claude, and it will explain to you so you understand. So for example, I use a local first approach. What it means is when the paper is uploaded, it is stored in the user's phone so that it can be retrieved faster, and it will sync to the database when there is a database connection, when it is connected to Wi-Fi or internet. So that would be just a quick preview, but I wouldn't go into this in more detail, other than to share that this is basically something that AI manages for you, but you should understand and you can make your judgment calls to modify. This is something important, implementation and testing. Testing is something that many people get bored with, and it is a boring and repetitive task, but it is very important because if you're building an app or a website, if it is not tested and people use it and it doesn't work the way it should, you will either get a lot of feedback, or worse, people will just stop using it, won't use. So if you're building an app, you can test on simulator first. This you can easily test on your machine. And once it works on the simulator, you can test on your own phone, a real device. And this helps you see how the app looks and performs on a real device, your mobile phone. Once you're satisfied with it, if you're, let's say, developing the app for Apple, you can use Test Flight for remote testers. This is an Apple developer tool. This is something that allows you to roll out your app to selected testers so that they can use it and give you feedback. It's good to get feedback from someone with fresh eyes looking at the app, and that's something you should always do. And in case you have a paid tier for your app to test, you need to test your subscriptions using Test Flight's sandbox. It helps you test a new user subscribing, renewing, or canceling your app without actually spending money. And finally, edge case validation. What that means is basically borderline cases that you may not think can happen. For example, a user is uploading and he switches phone into airplane mode. What happens then? So remember, no matter how dumb you think people are, they can always surprise you. So it's good to test out some of these scenarios before they trip you in the real world. Now sharing some of the mistakes or challenges to frame it another way when I was building this app. So the first one is the cost. Nothing in this world is free, nothing good especially. Apps are not an exception. When you make an app, you need to cater for the following costs. The AI subscription cost, for example, if you're using Claude AI or ChatGPT, roughly to one or two of these platforms will set you back by $50 a month. Other cloud infrastructure costs for hosting, let's say you build an app, maybe another $20 to $30 a month. So that's something you need to cater for. And one-time cost, for example, if you're building for Apple, you need to pay Apple developer cost, which is $99 per year. So these are costs that you need to cater for. And if your app is using, for example, AI, right, then you will have API usage costs. I talked about the API secret key earlier, right? So when you send a query to ChatGPT or Claude, there are usage costs. Normally it is maybe 1 or 2 cents or 3 cents per query, but it is there. And if you have 100 or 1,000 users using your app actively, it can cause a serious burn of money, right? So unless you have unlimited money, you also need to think about marginal cost per user. That's non-negotiable. So I realized I couldn't subsidize unknown users. So I had to then implement recurring subscription plans. This is another thing that I hadn't originally thought of before. And it requires implementing a paywall. Like you must have used some of the apps and they give you subscription options, right? And you pay a certain amount of money. For example, even Netflix. So that is something that you need to implement, and you put your AI heavy operations or cost heavy operations behind the paywall. Thankfully, as with everything, Claude was there to help me code this. The second mistake was, okay, I have built the app. Great, that's all. That's done, right? That's what is required. But no, you built and tested the app. That's just one part. You have to publish the app, meaning you have to get Apple to approve it or Google to approve it so that it appears on your app store. Now that is a big chunk of paperwork, especially if you're doing your first app. There's a lot of paperwork, and I'll go through some of that so that you are aware of it. But it's very common for your first few submissions to be rejected. You fix, and then gradually, as you get your paperwork in order, then it will be approved. For example, for Android, right, just to share with you, you definitely need to have a physical Android device to test your app. That's fair. But if you are an individual and not a company, Google requires you to get 12 testers to test your app before you can even submit it for them to review and approve. So that ended my Android plans very quickly because most of the people I know are on Apple. So it was my Titanic moment for Android. I put it on the slow burn for now. Apple itself is no cakewalk. I mentioned about the cost, the $99 per year for the Apple Developer Program. But you also have the App Store Connect, which is the platform that you use to upload your app and go through the paperwork and testing. There's a lot of documentation, but it's not so intuitive, especially for a first timer, but manageable with persistence. So the good news is if you've done it for one app, it becomes much easier for your second app. I talked about subscription. You need to test the subscriptions. I think I can skip through this. In terms of paperwork, you need quite a bit of paperwork. You need privacy policy. Again, there are tools available online to generate, like Termly. You need a website. again, you can use AI to create your own website. So I created my own. I have linked it in my bio page earlier, lenavalley.com, which needs to store information about your apps. Terms of use, you can use Apple's terms of use if you want, or if you want to create your own. And if you're using third party like Claude or Anthropic or OpenAI, you need to get consent from the user. There are tax forms to be filled up, free and paid agreements. If you're publishing your app for paid agreements, especially, there's quite a few to be done. First submissions, as I said, will get rejected typically, but as you move along, a few times it will be okay. Third-party AI consent issue is a new one. When I started developing, they had just implemented it. What it means is, if your app is sending your data, like the research paper that you've uploaded, to, let's say, OpenAI or Claude for AI processing, then the user needs to explicitly consent that this is, they agree to it. It cannot be something buried in terms or some other legal document. So this needs to be coded in and as a screen in the app. Honestly, it's a good requirement. Trust matters. You don't want people to not know where their data is being sent. So after a few tries, finally one day, another 2 weeks later, after I had developed and tested my app, Apple approved the app. So that feeling, I mean, is like summiting Mount Everest. I felt like I was walking on the clouds that day. So if you're an entrepreneur or if you're building yourself, you'll understand that feeling. It was quite a sense of achievement, an adrenaline high that you get when it gets approved and you can see your app in the App Store. But the real validation came when my daughter and her friends used it, and they said it actually helps. Right? That mattered a lot more than the App Store approval. Basically, I did solve one real problem well, and that was enough. So that's the real validation, when someone uses it and says, "Hey, that's actually useful." Okay. So what did AI change for me, right? It lowered the barrier to entry, and it accelerated iteration, made learning much faster, much easier. It made solo building viable. I'm just one person and I can build this app. This would have been nearly impossible 10, 15 years ago. Today, it's very doable. So what AI didn't do, this is also important to know. AI didn't make decisions for me, and you shouldn't let AI make decisions for you, because then you don't know whether it is actually doing what should be done. It didn't handle compliance, all the legal requirements, all the paperwork you have to do. AI can help you, but you have to do. You have to read and see, and agree to those documentations. You have to also think about cost, right? Like all these usage costs and so on. AI will not automatically think about it. You have to think, and then you have to then figure out how to make sure that you don't burn a big hole in your pocket when you release this app. It didn't fix architecture problems automatically. You have to look into it, and it will tell you options, but you have to select, right? So AI is leverage. It's not magic. My advice, I hope some of you will do some implementation of app or website yourself. Is that it's not difficult, but do start with a real problem. Do start with something that you think is good enough to solve. Don't pick a very complex problem, but start with a real problem. And before you attack that problem, try to build a pilot first. It could be related to your problem, or it could be something totally different, like my app about the identifying a photo, whether it's a animal, plant, or human being. And that will help you clarify a lot of things, how it's being implemented. Expect those setbacks, and AI will help you resolve them. Understand the cost early so you don't get surprised. AI is really your co-pilot. It's not your captain. Don't let it make decisions for you. Uh, you should be in charge, but it can give you options. And the last is ship something. What I mean is try to build a small minimum viable product, something that is puts in a basic set of requirements to make it a product, and roll it out as far as possible on the App Store. That process is quite important, and then you can continue to improve and roll out more and more versions. Don't wait to feel ready. You will never feel ready. Just proceed with that. So for me, the journey has just begun. I'll be working more on these apps, and I have quite a few other ideas. I have implemented another app called Civily, which basically helps fresh graduates and job seekers. You maintain one profile of your skills and of your education, etc., and it will generate customized resume and cover letter for a given job description. It also does ATS keyword matching. ATS is application tracking system. So what happens is when you send your resume to companies, the first layer of filtering is done by ATS software, which uses some AI engine as well. And if your resume or CV doesn't have the required keywords, coverage of keywords, no human will ever look at it. It will just be discarded. So this app helps people create targeted CVs and cover letters for the job description. I'm working on other apps as well, and it's a lot of fun. So as long as I'm enjoying, I'll continue this. So final thoughts. Today, you do not need big funding. You do not need a big team to implement apps. You do not need 10, 15 years of coding mastery. You just need curiosity, you need discipline, and a lot of persistence. Once you do these, AI can help you implement the apps or websites that you want. And yeah, and sometimes maybe a daughter that asks you a right question, that helps. So that's from me. Happy to take questions. Hopefully this has been helpful. Happy to take questions if you have.
So thank you, Pradeep. So I guess we can now take any, if you have any questions, we can have a few minutes.
I'm just wondering, like, what does the app do that's different than if you were to input the paper directly into like Claude? Are there some, I don't know, barriers to what the results can be that you've put in place? What is like the results the same?
Okay, that's a good question. So this app, a few things. First is in terms of capability, you can talk to either just one paper or a selection of papers that you put in one folder that are linked to a topic. So that helps you ask questions and connect the papers together. The second is it is very strictly following the protocol of a world-class academic researcher. So what that means is it will not go out of the contents of the paper to give you answers that can mislead you potentially. It does not do that. It makes sure that it is always rooted in the paper, and it gives you citations or quotations directly from the paper. When I used it from Claude, it did give me some of the same results, but it also sometimes gave me things that are beyond the paper, and that can be quite dangerous if you are doing an academic research and you're putting it in your paper.
Other questions? I think getting done. So thank you, Prateek, and we will talk more. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks, Naresh, and thank you all for your time. If I could ask one thing, if you have any suggestions on how to make this sharing better, if you could feedback it to Naresh, that will be very helpful. This is the first time I'm doing this, so it'll be very helpful if you have any suggestions or any questions. Just route them through Naresh, and I'll be happy to either revert or take it into my presentations going forward. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Pradeep.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.